Hi, my future mathematicians. This is Miss Hearn, and let's get started. Actually, let's get finished because this is part 3 of our video series on proving the limit of a rational function using a delta-epsilon argument, and we're actually going to write the proof now that we've done all of the prerequisite work. So in order to write the proof, we need to be very clear on the definition of a limit. The limit as x approaches a of f of x is equal to L means that for any epsilon greater than 0, there is a delta greater than 0, such that if the distance between an x value and a is less than delta, then the distance between the y value f of x and the limit value L is going to be less than epsilon. Now what we want to prove is that the limit as x approaches 2 of 4x plus 1 over x plus 1 squared is equal to 1. In other words, that for any epsilon greater than 0, there's a delta greater than 0 such that if the absolute value of x minus 2 is less than delta, then the absolute value of f of x minus 1 is less than epsilon. Now, a big part of the proof is finding that delta that makes this all work out nicely. In part 1, we talked about a technique that you can use where if you can find a number c that bounds the absolute value of the difference quotient, then you can let delta be epsilon over c. And we found that for this particular function, 4x plus 1 over x plus 1 squared, as x approaches 2, that expression is always less than or equal to 1 as long as x is in the interval between 1 and 3, or in other words, the absolute value of x minus 2 is less than 1. So you're close enough to the number 2, within 1 unit of the number 2, then that expression is always going to be less than or equal to 1. So we said we can actually choose our delta to be equal to epsilon over 1, which is just epsilon, as long as epsilon is not bigger than 1. Why? Because we can't have delta be any bigger than 1, or else x is not in the interval from 1 to 3. So if epsilon happens to be a larger number, then we're just going to choose delta to be equal to 1 and everything will work out nicely. So with that in mind, we're going to make this claim. For any epsilon greater than 0, let delta equal the minimum of the two values 1 and epsilon. And we will show that if the absolute value of x minus 2 is less than delta, then the absolute value of f of x minus 1 is less than epsilon. Now, when you use this technique, your steps in the proof are basically going to mirror what we discussed in part 1. So I have copied down what we discussed in part 1 here, and I'm going to go through the steps for this particular example. We're going to start by assuming that our absolute value of x minus a, in this case a is 2, is less than delta. Okay, and then we're going to see what we would like is to prove that f of x minus 1 absolute value is less than epsilon. So let's see what we know about making that assumption. What does that tell us about the absolute value of f of x minus L, which in this case is 1. What is f of x? F of x is 4x plus 1 over x plus 1 squared, and we have minus 1. So now we're going to multiply and divide by the absolute value of x minus a as it shows on the left. This is going to give us the absolute value of x minus 2 times the absolute value of 4x plus 1 over x plus 1 squared minus 1 divided by absolute value of x minus 2. Now, we know that the absolute value of x minus 2 is less than delta. That was assumed at the beginning, but we have to put a bound on this. We know that it's going to actually turn out to be less than or equal to 1, which was the c that we used when we found our delta, but we have to demonstrate that in our proof. So I'm going to simplify this complex rational expression here. I'm going to multiply by x plus 1 squared over x plus 1 squared. So that's going to give me absolute value of x minus 2 times, in the numerator we're going to have 4x plus 1 minus x plus 1 squared, absolute value, over, in the denominator we have the absolute value of x minus 2 times x plus 1 squared. Although really you can make this whole thing inside the absolute value there. foiling out x plus 1 squared, distributing the negative, we're going to have the absolute value of x minus 2 times, and then we're going to have 4x plus 1 minus x squared minus 2x minus 1 over x minus 2 times x plus 1 squared, which is going to be absolute value of x minus 2 times negative x squared plus 2x in the numerator, carrying down the denominator. Factoring out a negative x from the numerator there, we see that we have a common factor of x minus 2. We can divide that out. Since we have an absolute value there, there's no need to keep writing that negative in front of the x either. So we have the absolute value of x over x plus 1 squared. Remember our goal. We want to get this expression to be less than epsilon, and we're going to do this by recognizing that we assumed that this guy is less than delta, and by showing that this guy is actually less than or equal to 1. Well, we discussed in great detail in the second part of this video series that it's not actually true that that absolute value is always less than or equal to 1, but we are assuming that delta is the minimum of epsilon or 1, meaning delta is always less than or equal to 1. So the absolute value of x minus 2 being less than delta guarantees it's always less than or equal to 1. That's important because it puts a limit on what x values we're interested in. If absolute value of x minus 2 is less than or equal to 1, that means that x minus 2 is between negative 1 and 1, which means that x is actually between 1 and 3. And for x values between 1 and 3, this guy is less than or equal to 1. I'm going to write is less than delta times, and then I'm going to write 1 as long as x is between 1 and 3, which we know that x is. So that means that we're going to have delta, and we chose delta to be 1 or epsilon, depending on which one's smaller, and so no matter what it is, it's definitely less than or equal to epsilon. Now look back where we started. We started with absolute value of f of x minus 1, and we ended with less than or equal to epsilon. So that means that as long as the absolute value of x minus 2 is less than delta, the absolute value of f of x minus 1 is less than epsilon. And we have fulfilled the definition of the limit. The limit as x approaches 2 of f of x is equal to 1, as we intended to prove. I hope you found the video helpful. If you did, please give it a thumbs up. That helps other students to find the video. If you'd like to go back and look at part 1 again, you can follow the link on the screen or look in the comment section below the video.